Welcome to our module on unconditional love. It was really shocking to me when I learned from my coach, Tony Robbins, about unconditional love. I couldn't believe it when the words entered his mouth about how we love with conditions. We love with conditions. And he said that conditional love is not love at all. And as I heard those words, it kind of hit me into my heart. And I realized that the love that I had been showing my husband was conditional love. And it was conditional upon his helping me with the kids. It was conditional upon him spending time with me. It was conditional upon him helping me to clean and taking me on dates. It was conditional upon him doing the things that I wanted him to do and thought he should do as a husband, as a good husband. And as I pondered upon these thoughts, I remember thinking about Jesus and my Christian faith, about Jesus' love conditions. And I realized that when we enter marriage, often we think that we are doing so in an unconditional way, but how we actually enter the marriage is in order to get something. And when Tony Robbins said that we go into marriage not to get something, but to give, it really hit me very hard because I had been married for so many years, twice married, and not very happy. And the reason why I wasn't very happy is because I wasn't loving unconditionally, or in other words, was not giving just for the sake of giving in my relationship. And I also realized that I had been trying to be in charge of the outcome of my marriage, my husband's behavior, or the emotions of my husband. Everything that he did, I thought I was responsible for it. And as I thought about this unconditional love, and as I learned about it, and as I grew and developed my ability to be an unconditionally loving spouse to my husband, I started to understand that it is okay to allow them to experience the emotions that they have without taking responsibility for their emotions. And just to be responsible for my own happiness and not my spouse's. And this is a very complicated topic. It is. It's simple, but it's also complicated because when you go to apply unconditional love to life, to your spouse, you start to feel all these different emotions and you start to go backwards and you want to control the situation. You want to get them to love you unconditionally the way that you're trying to love unconditionally. But that kind of love is a lower level love. It's a level of love that Tony calls the number 1 and number 2 level, which are where you just give expecting to receive, or giving halfway, so giving 50% and expecting them to give 50%. So it's kind of like a give and take, like a negotiation. But the higher level of love, the highest level of love is to give without expecting to receive. This can be really challenging, especially when you first implement it, because what you really want is to receive something back from your spouse. And so it's really hard to just simply give and just remain happy and smiling, even if your spouse doesn't receive the thing that you're trying to give. So for instance, some of my clients would give and not get the response that they wanted back. So maybe they would say something that was very kind to their spouse, like, I love how you are such a good father, or I love how you're such a good mother, or I love how clean you are, or I love how kind you are to the animals. I love it when you take the kids out for a walk or to the park, that kind of thing. And the spouse wouldn't always respond in a positive way. So they're like, okay, it's nothing, or you don't have to tell me that. And that is not receiving. And so they had a hard time giving without expectation of receiving. What they wanted to receive was, oh yeah, no problem. They wanted to hear something positive in response. And sometimes when we give unconditionally, we do not receive in response to what we give. So we might make a delicious meal and maybe we don't get the response we want, which is, oh, you're such a good cook. I'd say something like, I would love to go dancing with you, honey. And your spouse might say, I don't really feel like it. There's like numerous opportunities to expect something from your spouse in return to your unconditional love. And of course, the definition of unconditional love is that you not expect anything in return. So for this week, I would love for you to think about ways that you can express unconditional love towards your spouse without expecting anything in return. This is the assignment. Listen very, very carefully. When you give something to your spouse, a hug, doing the dishes, going to work, paying the bills, driving, cleaning the car, watching the children, playing with the kids, anything at all. Anything that you do that you might be doing for your spouse, do it just because you want to be the best version of yourself. You want to think of yourself and your mission on this earth as your own self-improvement project. Your life, your entire life as your own self-improvement project. So you are not responsible for your husband's reactions or your wife's reactions to you and your best behavior. You simply give without expectation of receiving. Now, as you go about this week, you probably will need to debrief. Normally, as your coach, I would debrief with you, but because you're in this class, I'm going to have you debrief in a journal or in some kind of Word document, and just go ahead and write about how you feel. Write about the reactions or lack of reactions to your unconditional love to your spouse. And when you give unconditionally, expect to receive anything in return, there's likelihood that you will receive in return. Smile on your face and be as pleasant as possible. This smile is for two people. It is for you and your spouse. But remember that it's a lot of the time is simply for you, because you want to be happy. You want to be the best version of you. And that means that you're not cranky, you're not angry, you avoid criticism and all those things. And you might even apologize. That might be one of the ways of being unconditionally loving, is apologizing. And so this week I would like you to take every opportunity you can to go ahead and express unconditional love to your spouse, in addition to the other things that we have been doing the previous week. All the previous lessons that you have done, I would love you to continue to do those things in conjunction. So this class is meant to build upon itself. Stop doing the previous things that you have learned. It'll be difficult to receive the results that you would like to have. So to get best results, the lesson builds upon itself, and you continue to do the assignments from the previous lesson in the next week. And I know it's hard, but I believe in you, and I know that you're in this for the long haul, and you're strong and capable. So I'm so happy to be here with you in this lesson, and I'm going to be there with you in spirit as you struggle, or don't struggle, it'll be easy, as you go about loving unconditionally without expectation of reward from your spouse or any other person. Thank you so much for being here with me this week, and I will see you next week.